Hi guys, this is Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, and we're live. And this is to play and sing, which is my musical answers to all your questions. I'm trying to get this screen to move over here. It's just sitting there like a little lump on the log. Kind of stupid. There we go. Okay, better, mo better. So the point of this live stream, I hope you're here. There's folks here. And the point of this is for us to eliminate all the things that are holding you back, whether it's about voice or piano or saxophone or flute or oboe. I actually have a degree in playing the oboe, isn't that weird? And in composition, uh, songwriting, guitar, bass, ukulele, mandolin, all these wonderful instruments, just super wonderful, and other things too. So anyway, what do you do when you're discouraged? I'm sorry, I'm going to come to that. So ask me something, and we'll give it a shot, see what we can do. So here's this is over here where y'all are. So and in lieu of your questions, what I'm doing is I'm going over the things that my students had issues with through the week, and counting last week from 24 hours to now. So anyway, so last week, which was number 70, this is number 71. And so last week on number 70, we talked about the most common way to modulate to a new key. We talked about breaking a song into smaller parts. And you can say a song, this is hard. What is the unit? Is it a lick, like a solo in 20 measures? Is it a lick, 4 measures? Is it a song, anywhere from 80 to, could technically be 500 measures or 700 measures. How to break that down into something you can master and solve those problem areas. What to do when you're really discouraged, in music. Hey, TDB. So when you're really discouraged, how do you fix that? And and then that you should take online lessons or in studio lessons with me, and you can go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com, or you can email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com for information. And of course, you can just go to that website and information. And about what kinds of vocalists have to be great sight readers. Do all of them have to be? Most of them do not, as in most of them who you're super famous, uber famous. For example, Luciano Pavarotti did not read music. So anyway, which kinds of vocalists do? And actually, Pavarotti would be in a category that we would normally think, well, yeah, those guys do have to learn how to sight read. I'm sorry, I'm going to be free here and say that. So most classical singers would think of themselves like, I'm a sight reader, I'm a great sight reader. And some of them are, of course, really are. But if you spend, that includes me, that includes anybody, if I spend 4 months on a song or a month on a song, what we have to do, what we naturally do, we all do. Just your mama, when she's singing a song, learns a new song. It's like she listened to it, and next thing you know, it switched from I understand what the notes are to I hear it in my head, and they're singing. Most classical singers are singing from their head. They're not sight reading, which is not, neither here is not bad, because most, rock and blues and country and pop and whatever are singing totally, by ear. They couldn't sight read. Anyway, just when does that come up? And then how to start solving your timing and rushing issues, which is endemic and for certain people. Everybody, the human beings, they all tend to rush, which is, I think, fascinating in the sense that the worst thing we could do for having trouble in a song is to rush, speed it up, make it harder. But unfortunately, when we get nervous and under pressure and things are messing up, we tend to rush. But how to fix that, including that actually slightly different than what we talked about last week. We're not talking about rushing. We're talking about counting and getting ahead of the beat, not too fast, but cutting things off, losing 2 beats or coming in 2 beats late and that kind of stuff. And we talked about ways to develop your ear for hearing chords. That's what we talked about last week in number 70. Should have been here. Come. That's what we talked about. So anyway, this week, these are things that came up this week. So one was um, discovering when you're discouraged. This is not actually about being discouraged. It's really not. Not coming from somebody being discouraged. It's coming from somebody being rediscovering the fact that music is wonderful, and making music is wonderful. You being the generator, the progenitor of the music is wonderful and exciting and powerful. And one of the ways. Okay, I can't do anything about that. Apparently, I'm looking really red. So I do have a sunburn. Not really. It's this camera. Fix this camera. I can't fix it now. Anyway, so so one of the best ways to get excited about music again, there's a bunch of things, but one of them is live performances. Going to live performances, watching other people play live performances. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so fun. This is so powerful. All these good words. None of them are bad words. Fun, powerful, exciting, dramatic. All these sorts of things. And and then we'll talk about it. I think I'll talk about it again. But I've been talking about how powerful it is to play with other people. It's not. It's not a don't think of the pressure of it. Think of it like when you're playing with other people and they make a mistake and you keep going, or you make a mistake and they keep going. And again, I'm talking about usually a group of usually at least three people. Just because two people can be amazing, but then sometimes they can kind of have a little synergy of either messing up and they mess up and it blows up, and they can have the opposite symmetries, symmetry. Synergy, yeah, and but usually a little bit larger, third person, fourth person, and it gets a little bit like we've got to go on, even if when that pulls you out of your, I made a mistake, I had a problem here, all that kind of stuff. So anyway, um, so so that was one thing. And another thing that happened is when you're playing and you're working on your music and you're working on the piece, and this is for the vocalists, is for the instrumentalists, it doesn't matter who, is that when is that all the places that are weak, you're working on to make them strong, organic, automatic, easy, natural. These good words. Not there's nothing wrong with being correct. I'm not countering that. I'm just saying your goal is not in all your music is not to be correct. Your goal in all your music is to be, powerful and exciting and dramatic and power and you know, moving and move yourself, move other people. So anyway, so I'm just saying when you're working on a song, what you're saying is here's my song, and here's some mistakes or some things you can't do, and so go to those. And then how long do you work on them? What is your goal in working on them? You work on them until they become organic. They become natural. They become like this is how we do it. This is how I do it, and I can do it well. And so not just I did it correctly when that. Remember now, if you had the problem area and you just did it correctly one time, that is not going to be an actual solution. That just means you increase the chances of playing it from correctly under pressure. From one chance in 10, you made it one chance in 4. So you have 25% chance of doing it correctly. So you want to get on those areas and make them natural again and again. And don't think of it as time. Think of it as how well do I do it? How easy is it for me to do it? How natural and comfortable is it for me to do it? So, and once, let's see, this is just fascinating to me. It works especially on the vocalist, and classical vocalists have to be really careful about this, but all vocalists do, because we're working on, there's, even if there's music in front of you, including the classical vocalist, if you're really great, you're reading the notes and knowing what the notes are. But what most people are doing is they're using the notes and they're plinking out on the piano. And I'm talking about classical for a side, but everybody's doing this. And the classical people, which I am a classical musician, they are maybe thinking they're playing by ear, singing by ear. By notes, and they may be. But the point is, anyone, all vocalists, when you're working on a song, and this could go for learning a lick or solo, to making sure that you're doing it correctly. because once it gets in your ear wrong, it's just not the right way. It's the way you're doing it, and it's incorrect. But you are um, doing it incorrectly, but you're unaware of it because you're not checking, you're not plinking on the piano, whatever. And you do that 10 times, or you do that for 2 weeks, and it's stuck in your ear. It's really, really, really hard to get rid of it. It's stuck in your head, not like an earworm. You can't stop singing it. It's like an earworm. Like you can't eliminate the way it is. So anyway, the wrong way that it is. And so anyway, the point is when you're learning a song, especially vocalist, and you're working on a lick on your instrument, you know, and you're not sure about it, working on these things they end up being very ear based. It's in my head. It sounds like this. It's supposed to sound like this. But take your time and make sure you learn it correctly because it's very, very hard to unlearn it once you got it. And so another student was it's very nice to see them start to get a hold of the idea that when you're performing, you got to be convincing in your performance. Now, depending on the style, it's like, what does that mean to be convincing? You can be, dancing all over like Art. Can't remember what that girl's name, playing the guitar. She's laying on her back, pushing herself around on the stage. The all the way from that to there's my got email. All the way from that and more. Jumping out, diving in the mosh pit to very elegant and very stately and very playing. And I just in my mind, this is not trying to go classical. Thinking about Sarah McLachlan, like this is truth, this is beauty. I'm playing, and this is also sincere. So but what we get from all of our performers that we love, if we love the performer, what we're getting from them is, this is convincing. This person really believes and is giving what they're singing, and that could be a beautiful piece by Fauré or Ravel, a piano piece, and it's like it's not just the notes, and it is not even just the crescendos and decrescendos and articulations and all these things, but those things accumulate to a beautiful, powerful, convincing performance. The listener says, I know what this means, and not, my gosh, that guy sure plays good. So anyway, watching it's nice watching people grab hold of the idea of being convincing and organic in their visual performance. It looks like that guy really means it. He's really feeling it. And it's not just neutral, but it's my word. I didn't make it up, but I'm proselytizing. It's like, you don't really like this kind of music. You really don't like so-and-so. But this person is so into it, and it's so beautiful. It's so dramatic. It's so all these things that you kind of get pulled into it, even if you don't like it off the top. And then in performing, another thing is in performing, it seems to be very, very useful. I'm sitting here telling these people, which I agree for myself, hey man, you need to go for it, give it all you got, and I'm talking about in terms of enjoy your music, have fun, basically just go out there and have a great time in your performance, except when I do that, I usually come up to, the second verse or the chorus or the section E or something, to page turn or whatever, and I discover that I'm kind of like, bumfuzzled as to where I am exactly, and or I forget the second verse, or forget I forget what was that next chord, or this is not where you play. This is where the trumpet has a solo, like that. And so, what I think we need to do, at least I need to do, is I need to play with 95% abandon. Just throw myself. I sing better. I ad lib better. All this kind of stuff when I'm just having fun and just doing my song. And then with that one little 5%, I have one little 5% of me kind of monitoring where I am. And so I see my little T, Mark teaches music there. So it's like, I don't know if I can do this. So here's me playing the song, being free and aggressive. And then here's my little 5% monitoring. And so that's just going on ahead. This one, there you go. This is me. Remember, here comes that page turn. Remember, here's where that C9 sharp 5 is or whatever, or here's where so and so has a solo and you're supposed to back off, whatever, those kind of things. Just a little bit, just enough to manage. Now, I think if you turn it around and you make it, here's your performance. Why is this backwards? I don't know. Anyway, here's my freedom, and I make my, oh gosh, don't mess this up, don't mess up, make that part really big. And so what's going in front of me is this way. What's going in front of me through time as I do the song is my massive think, understand, count, all this kind of wonderful things we need to do. But that's what's predominating. We're going to get a dry, formal, fixed performance and what we want. Now, it depends, I said a minute ago, the kinds of music we're playing is affecting everything. So in no sense does every performance need to be just, people are crying and, throwing themselves on the floor or screaming or whatever. And every performance is not, everybody's just very like, excellent. So we have a great range in what's expected and what we like. So we want to fit our performance to the upper edge of whatever our style is that we're doing at this moment. And again, I'm for doing multiple styles. So you could do one concert and performances and be very, not stately, that formal, stay off, but like, this is the music, I want to give this music to you. Isn't it lovely? And then go turn around and 4 hours later, you're, dancing and dance to the music, and you're, pointing at people, I want to wear some bottom, I'm just saying we can go in and out of that, and as we should. So in every performance, though, in every style, we need to kind of be on the higher side, 20%, and turn that up to 85, 90% of involvement. And then that brings me to something that somebody is having, and that is just to mention, if you are either shy or you are intellectual, and I don't mean smart, not what I'm saying. Intellectual is not being smart. From my standpoint, it is being, I don't know, kind of ruled by your brain. So many people who are not ruled by their brain have great brains, So you're an intellectual, or you're shy and an intellectual, or intellectual and shy. Those people will need to really turn up the emotional output of their music. That, not because they're dumb or something, but because, in other words, for me, like when I play and it gets concentrated and it gets serious, not serious, hard, or I'm into it. So I'm going to kind of shut down. I mean, I'm just going to, like, I'm playing, I want to be like it's not what I want to be. I am, like, okay, I'm the consummate player, and I'm just, and it's like, that is great. As a classical player, there's a bunch of things that are good about that, but that is not great as a engaging way to pull people into your music. So again, all those many kinds of music with different expectations of what the performer should do. So in those styles, which would be most styles, where we want that performer to pull us in, that would be the best experience we could have. Shy person, intellectual person would have to say, I feel like this, sure, I'm excited, it's great, but I gotta have to emote or push out a product that's way over here, much, much more, 2 times, 3 times more exciting and dramatic and engaging is the right word than is natural, so that the person is pulled in. People are pulled in and they go like, that was great. I didn't think I would like that, but that was amazing. So okay, and so another thing that comes up, and this is such a heavy duty thing. It is about the freeze, fight, or flight reflex. Freeze, fight, or flight reflex. And so, oh my gosh, this shuts down so many people's music. And I'm talking about pausing, essentially. Pausing. It's because in life, and so many things, it's not, nobody would call this ergonomics, but I'm going to call it ergonomics. An ergonomic issue, that is, it's a natural, organic, hard to get away from naturally issue, and that is, you make a mistake, you come up to a place, and you're like, was that an A or A flat? Was that on the 7th fret or the 8th fret? Was that you know, am I going to go into head voice or chest? It's like you get up to these places and suddenly you forget, or suddenly a hard place or whatever. And what comes up is, like I have three things I can do. I can freeze, I can run away, I can fight. And I don't mean that we're going to fight or something musically. I mean that you're fixing to make a mistake, coming to the mistake, and it's like what we tend to do a lot of times is we pause, and that pause breaks the flow, and it kind of ruins our music. And doesn't mean you can't. I'm not saying you can't pause, and I'm not saying you can't make a mistake. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that. Well, I've already said before, and I'll say it again. Is that the player cares about making a pitch mistake. Don't play an F when it's an F sharp. Don't play this as a triplet. I didn't mean to say, but don't play the note wrong. Don't play the chord wrong. But the listener cares about the time. So the worst thing we can do is to not skip a beat, like it's not going to go. So I kept the rhythm, the macro rhythm, even though I left out stuff. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about when you go, da 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 that. So I'm continually just then resetting 1, 2, 3, 4, the macro rhythm, and that kills the song. You do that, and again, this is the truth. You make a pitch mistake, you can make, I don't know, 10 pitch mistakes. You keep on going. People think that guy's learning, working. He's a musician, and he made some mistakes. You pause. I think you have 4 pauses at messing up the macro rhythm. So you go ba 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 da 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 da. And I'm not going to keep doing it because but the point is, each time you do that, it pops people out of the performance. People are like, oh, I was getting into it, I was flowing, whatever it was. I hate this music, but there it is, that good rhythm, I'm with it. So anyway, point is, we don't want to do that. We don't want to get bumped out of that. And one of the reasons we need to notice, and probably the main reason, is we're fixing to make a mistake and we don't know what to do. So our natural reaction is probably to freeze. I go out, did it today. Go out in my yard, and there's a lizard there. He sees me. What does he do? Usually what they do is go. And that's what we do. We're coming to a mistake or making a mistake, and we freeze. What we have to teach ourselves to do is to make the mistake, or you keep your place in the measure. And you notice that I'm talking freely, but I keep this time going. So that's what we're saying. So I was supposed to go, I don't know, I was supposed to go, gotta have a new song. That's more long. I wish I had thought of a song here, but my point is, I'm not stopping. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. I don't mean it. Keep it in a good spirit. I'm saying, teach yourself when you're going to make a mistake. Or you make a mistake. Well, you said last week, make a big one, or 2 weeks ago. But when you're making the mistake, don't lose the time. Lose the pitch. Don't lose the time. And just by the way, the last thing people listen to, hear when you play, the last thing they hear is, guess what? The end. The end needs to be the best, not the beginning. And I remember in the Myosin watching Christopher Parkening play with the Dallas Symphony. Yeah. And anyway, to the point, he forgets it's a big part. He's playing the guitar. He goes, but he was 1 fret too high. He was supposed to be like here, and he was here. And it was like, he didn't flinch. The orchestra didn't do anything. Of course, they shouldn't have flinched. Shouldn't have flinched. The orchestra didn't do anything. And I'm not kidding. Literally 15 seconds later, it kept going. And 15 seconds later, me and the whole audience is kind of going, I did make a mistake on it. And because he didn't do anything to arrows. Yes, you messed up. So anyway, noticing, I want you to notice the organic nature of the fight or flight thing. And then I want you to not do that, not freeze, freeze, fight, or flight. So, and then I wanted to mention how, looking at my time over there, how anybody in music, this is not, I'm going to show it to you on the guitar, but it's not about the guitar, it's about every instrument. And what you want to do, music is elephantine. It is huge. It is mind-boggling. You could spend, literally, of course, hundreds of people have done just this, spent their entire life, 3, 4, 5 hours a day learning blues, or 3, 4, 5 hours a day learning, if it's a piano, classical piano, but it should be like 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and it's like, or the harp or something, What I'm saying is, you could spend your whole life focused on a very tiny part of music, and you would never probably say you mastered it. And that's part of the majesty and mystery that is music, that it's so varied and so intricate and all these kind of things. So, so anyway, how do you make sense out of all that gigantic stuff? These world changing, just humongous. There's just so many things to do. So here's what everybody does, and a very wise thing to do. And I got this from a long time ago, but from a piano, learning jazz piano. And the point is, in jazz piano, there's 250,000 chords on the guitar. That's true. And you don't need 250,000 chords on the guitar, but their potential. Piano is probably 10 times that. Because you could just take the notes of a C chord and play the C down here and the E way up there and play the G with your nose, and so there's just an infinite, not infinite, but it's finite, but it's humongous. There's probably 1,000 ways to just play a C chord. Anyway, so the thing was, in the jazz piano, and the reason I'm just playing it as a jazz piano, fixing to show it on the guitar, but is you start from what you know. You start from what you already know, and you add to it a little step. So that is, you would say, I'm learning a new thing, but I already know 85% of it now that I'm learning this new thing. Now that doesn't mean sometimes you're going to have to tread into completely new areas. But a lot of things that are very confusing are not really that confusing if you'll see them as more, it's just this and one thing added. And so I'm going to go ahead and presage what I'm going to say. For example, Mixolydian mode is it's a major scale. Ba ba da 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 da. Same thing as the major scale. Let's say if that's in the key of G. Ba 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 ba. Except you lower the seventh note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's a Mixolydian scale. And so, just with the same idea, the Dorian minor is the same as the natural minor. Ba 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 ba. It's a natural minor. Just take my word for it. And then the Dorian minor just raises 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. That was the natural 6, 6, 7, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's Dorian minor. So I'm relating these new scales. Oh my gosh, there's so many modes. What do we do? It's like, well, okay, it'll help if I could just say, well, this scale, Mixolydian, Lydian, whatever, is just like this other scale that I already know, already play all the time, but there's just one change, or there's 2 changes. And just by the way, modes, I just think modes are fascinating. It's more fascinating, it's like the usage of them, the books about them, everybody telling you what you should do. And I know. This is an inside baseball type thing, but so if I take the C scale, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Then I lower the 7th scale degree, so that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. 1, C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C. I lowered the 7th scale degree. That is Mixolydian mode. Guess what? That's the notes of the F scale. So I noted the F scale. The same thing for Dorian minor, do do do, A, natural minor, da 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 da, do 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 do. So, and you're supposed to put your questions in here. You're not supposed to be listening to me. You're supposed to ask me questions. Anyway, so there's that natural minor, ba 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 ba, A natural minor. Now I'm going to raise the 6th scale degree, and notes A B C D E F sharp, not F not. A B C D E F sharp G A. Guess what? That's the notes of the G scale. Dorian minor is the same notes as the major scale, a whole step lower. So I'm just not trying to teach about. I'm not trying to teach about modes. I'm trying to talk about find things that here's this new thing. What is this like? And so I wish to. And for the piano, the point was I said this all originated from how jazz piano is taught. Like there's so many ways to play any chord, and these are complicated chords, right, with lots of notes. So what they say is, and I agree, is that we'll pick one way to do them and learn to play your charts with the one way. I'm saying what I usually do, this is for two-handed, this is for comping, would be to play 1-5-1 in the left hand, and then I have my thumb on 2, 3, 5, and 1. So I can, and so that's I pick up my thumb, I got 1, 3, 5 left hand, 3, 5, 1 in the right hand. That's a major chord. So then I can add the 7. I can do that in my left hand thumb. I can do it with my little finger. I can do it with this other. I want to make it a 2. I got the 2. I want to make it a 7. I can add the 7 here. I can add, So I got, it's just like a predictable way, and I can add things and build chords like that. And that's recommended by many great musicians and teachers, how to make sense out of all these things. Pick one way and do it well. And I'm going to illustrate that here on the guitar in a second. Usually, certainly on the guitar and probably in the piano, knowing one way is how you would learn, and then you start functioning, and it makes sense. So we're going to go and we're going to do it in a second. We're going to make it a sharp 5. So it's like, well, I can figure out which one of those notes is the 5. What's the 5 of an A chord? A, B, C, D, E. It's an E, and if I want to make it a sharp, I'll make it an E sharp or an F, but we'll call it an E sharp. So I'm saying, looking at my song, I'll be like, I'm going to add that. The point is not how to play the guitar. It's not modes. The point is not piano. The point is find something you can compare the hard thing you have to do to something you can do easily. Let's take a voice example. Ba 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 ba. Major pentatonic scale. I want to do the licks. And so I say, I want to do a major blues scale. Well, it's just one added up. Ba ba ba. There's the blues note. Ba 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 ba. Just add that one note. I'm thinking of it as adding the one note in. It is in reality adding the one note in. It'll help me if I do it. Like, oh, this is not so hard because it's just like this other thing I did. Okay, real quick, on the guitar, I'm going to use the acoustic guitar because I can hear it in this microphone. You don't have to have it plugged in. It's very good. All right. And I'm going to put this on my head so that I can hold it nicely. So I just want to, so for example, a major chord. I'm used to C. This is a very versatile form on the guitar. I have this up here, and I'm not teaching. I'm just showing you the idea. Here's a C, and if I want to do a 7, here's the 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lower 7. So I'll play that. Doesn't matter the fingers. I'm not teaching the chord. I'm showing you. I know a C. Oh gosh, I want to learn a C7. Okay, so this is one note, and I say, oh, okay, that's cool. C7. And then I say, okay, what about a 2? Okay, well, there's a C, the second note, C, D. Second note, that's a D. So we're talking about adding. I know a C, I'm talking about up here. I'm going to go, or anybody. So anyway, C7, we're talking about using what you know. Okay, now what about a C2? Okay, C, here's the second note, so C. I need to add the second note, D. So here's my C2. And lots of acoustic rock. And other kind of things. Doesn't matter if my little finger's down or not. Doesn't change the sound, doesn't change the chord because I already had a G. Now I got another one up here. Anyway, C, C7, C2. So C9 is a C7 with the 2. So here it is. There's the 2, 2. Here's the 7. No, I'm not teaching this. I'm talking about, so I know this. I know the C7. I know the C2. I'll put them together. I will have to refinger it, but I've got now a C9. And this voicing's pretty neat with the A on the E on the top. Although probably more often we would take that. We do it like this. Oh, cool. Look, I know I have to play C9. Okay. What about a sharp 9? Oh, okay. Well, there's the 9 right there. So let me raise that with this finger here. So I know there's the 5. I mean, there's the 9. Let's raise that. What about a sharp 9, sharp 5? Well, there's the 5. So I'm just showing you. I'm building up and flat. 11. You know, all from C chord. C7, C2, C9, another C9, sharp 9, sharp 5, and then, so anyway, there you go. All right, so point was not, remember I started by talking about the piano, doing this on the piano. Then I talked about scales for soloists and solo instruments, single note instruments. And then I'm just showing you physically, just adding, I know this, one step to this, okay, and like that. And that way, two things are beneficial. One, it's easier to follow, to keep where you are. And the other is, and so important, if you're becoming a good musician, a well-rounded musician, knows lots of things, is keeping track of it all. So, for example, the guitar, the bass, the fretted instruments, the piano. This is a fascinating thing that we see on the flute, all the orchestral winds, and other things too. But it's hard to, each note is distinct. You know, a D is this, and a C sharp is this, and an A is this, and they're all distinct. On the guitar, on the piano, it's just the white key and a black key. It's just these fingers, you know. It's like, and so and the same thing on the guitar. It's like playing the key, playing an A chord, playing an A sharp chord. It's the same chord, you know. So it turns into a mush. It's hard to remember it. So we need anchors to remember those things, usually specifically on those instruments. So it helps on those instruments where everything can get confused or jumbled up, to have names and methods of approaching everything. Okay, so all right, so let's see. All right, so I'm Mark Black. Listen, you should take lessons, take online, and call me, but email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons.com, or go to dallasmusiclessons.com and find out about lessons. And anyway, so Mark Black's me. This is episode 71 of To Play and Sing. This is Mark Teaches Music. You send your questions, and you can send me questions. Actually, I'd love to answer your questions. Send me an email. I'll answer your questions there too. And so I think that's good. Okay, and so you have a great week, and I hope to see you next week. And hopefully, as I'm told, I'm very red. So hopefully I won't be so red next week. So I'll fix that. So have a great week.